was kind of proud of the fact that I was doing original stuff, and any comic that would give me grief, which they all still to this day give me grief, I would always say, at least I'm doing my own thing. I don't know why you would think just the opposite, that they all get behind you, right? In a sense, like he's doing something different.
Totally.
But I think more hate came because I was doing something original and clever, and people loved it, but other comics hated it.
You've always been super business savvy, marketing wise. You branded yourself, and it's been thorough. For everything. Like no one cannot know who you are. That's because everything works together.
It's a blessing and a curse is what I tell people.
Right? So
here we are.
Here we are. I didn't want to say anything before we started like rolling because I have so many questions for you, and I didn't want to get all the good stuff.
Right. No, it's hard when you're sitting up, we're talking, we're like, wait, save it for the show.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I have to tell you again.
Hope we didn't do all the good stuff during the pre-show.
I hope not either. Because I have been legit fascinated by you probably my whole life.
Oh, wow.
Like at least 20 years. I've always thought you were so exceptionally talented.
Thank you.
And just the fact that you've had the longevity you've had in this career, like you've been in residency in Las Vegas for 30 years almost, right?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Are you the longest ever to be at a show?
Me that. I'm up there. I don't know. We've never really done but I'm up there because as far as longevity, especially in one particular hotel. I've been at the Luxor now coming up on, it'll be 19 years. So it's a long time in one property. That probably, I own that probably record, but
for sure. And then
about 30 some years in Vegas itself. It'll be 40 years in comedy coming up.
Well,
it's kind of exciting. 40 years.
40 years. You were at MGM Grand, weren't you before?
Yes.
Right. And then you came to Luxor and been here forever. So by the way, I was so excited to have you. I didn't even say who I have on. This is Carrot Top.
Oh, right. Yeah. People could think I'm Reba. Yeah, this is Carrot Top.
I have Carrot Top.
Reba's letters up. Reba's got some guns on her.
Yeah. You're like crazy fit. But by the way, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
But your real name is Scott Thompson.
Scott Thompson. Now you know why I went by Carrot Top.
Yeah.
A pretty boring name. Scott Thompson.
Well,
and there's the Kids in the Hall. There's a guy from the Kids in the Hall named Scott Thompson.
That's right. And Kids in the Hall is Canadian, and I'm
right.
Canadian.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And so I thought, well, Scott Thompson is already kid, and I know him. And this is kind of a funny story. Real briefly, when I lived in LA, they sent me on an interview, or what do you call it, audition. And I get there, and they're like, I come in to read this part, and they're all like, Carrot Top? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. How did you get this interview or this audition? I'm like, an agency sent me, and they're all just like dumbfounded. And I'm like, did you guys get the wrong Scott Thompson? And they all were like, yeah. And I'm like, Kids in the Hall. And they'll go, oh my God, yeah. So you're Scott. I said, yeah, you probably wanted him. And then I come walking in my hair out there. And I said, well, thank you, though. That's very sweet. And I said, well, no, I'm going to read. I mean, I came all the way down here. I'm going to read the part, maybe I'll get it.
Did you get it?
No, but I read for the part. And then I remember thinking, it's so funny. They were looking for the other Scott Thompson.
That is really hilarious.
Right away, they were like, what are you doing here?
Well, it's funny because how many people actually even know that's your name, right?
No, but lawyers in the government, people like that. No.
Right, exactly. Like lawyer, that's basically, and your mom.
My mom, I don't know if my mom even knows but yes, no, my grandmother used to call me Carrot Top, and I always found that really weird.
Well, I can't
my grandma's like, my nephew, this is my nephew Carrot Top, and I'm like, it's Scott, Grandma.
Yeah, that's really, well, who do your friends call you?
I have no friends, so they, no, they call me Scott. Yeah, Scott.
They call you Scott.
Yeah, nobody calls me CT or Carrot no, it's Scott.
Like when you walk in here, so we're doing this podcast in Scott, aka Carrot Top's backstage dressing room. When you walk in, do people say, oh, hey, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't say, hey, Carrot Top?
No one ever says, no one. Down to security, down to anybody at the hotel, no.
So
I would never think no one's addressed me as Carrot Top.
When you walk in here, do you go through the main entrance or do you have a back door entrance or how do you?
I go through the back door.
You go through the back door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Front door? I don't go through the front door. I'm Carrot Top.
Well, I figured, do they even have one? Like, do people always stop and recognize you?
No, there's a back door in the Luxor. It's not really about trying to not be recognized. I mean, I'm going to be on stage in hours, but it's just...
Well, you're pretty recognizable.
It's just easy we park in the back and we get through, and it's a lot easier to get into the hotel and out of the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm not one of those guys though. Don't look at him kind of thing.
No, of course. You're like the most, you're actually.
I say, look at my jean shorts, look at my jorts.
You look really nice. You're very friendly and super nice and seem to be very kind and down to earth.
Yeah,
everybody who works for you has been here for like 100 years, 18 years, 17 years, 19 years.
All my crew from day one, pretty much. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you, let's start from like the way beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
When did people start calling you Carrot Top, and how did you even start?
I started in college on a dare from my roommates. They had an open mic, and I went up and I told like jokes, old jokes, guy walks into a bar kind of thing. And I did great. And everybody said, man, you're funny. And then they had it every semester. They had another one. And so my friends were like, you got to do it again. That was great. And I went up and did it a couple more times like that. And then, there's a comedy club that had the same similar thing, like an open mic, and I went down to audition for them. And the lady was like, I still remember her name's Colin McGar, and she looked at me and she's like, I got down and I had to like audition in a sense in the comedy club. Never been in a comedy club. It was just first time on stage, just in front of her with her clipboard, and she's just looking at me. I'm like, do I do it in front of a crowd? She's like, no, do it in front of me. I'm like, okay, it's weird. So I did my act and whatever I called my act. And she just remember looking at me. I'll never forget. It seemed like yesterday. She's like, those aren't your jokes, right? I said, no, they're just like knock jokes and, George Carlin joke and Joan Rivers. She's like, okay, do you have any like your own jokes? And I said, no. She's like, you got to have your own jokes. And I said, oh, you do? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, well, that's makes it a little harder. So she said, go home and like try to think of something that's you and natural, like that would be your organic you. So I went home and I just started thinking, I need a name. Before I even had a joke, I said, I need a name. I need like the Rolling Stones tongue, the Grateful Dead sticker. I need a name. And I just wrote down Carrot Top. And I drew a little logo. It's in here somewhere. I drew it with a Sharpie and I said, Carrot Top. And my roommates came in and said, what's that? It's just my logo for my company and my career as a comic. They're like, you're not a comedian. I said, I know, but I have a logo. That's the important part. The hard part's over. I got the logo. It's not, I even think I'm kidding. So I had like a logo. I printed it up on a t-shirt. I said, look at it, Carrot Top. And they're like, boy, you need an act. And I said, that'll be the easy part. So I'd had a neighborhood crime watch sign that I'd stolen when we were in college. It was in my dorm room. And as I was drawing my Carrot Top logo, I was kind of looking up at this neighborhood crime watch sign. It's a metal, 4x4 crime watch. It said neighborhood crime watch. And I thought there's something funny there because when we took the sign, there's nobody watching. So I thought, how good is our crime watch if then I'm watching us take the sign? So I took it off the wall and I went down to her and I said, here's one. Is this funny? And she said, oh, that's really funny. I like the visual aspect of it too. But I didn't know that everything was going to be visual at that time. that was just one organic joke that I could come up with an idea. And she said, I love that. And I said, okay, I'll try to think of more things. And I started I said, do you want me to go steal more signs? And she said, no, don't do that. And I, in my head said, that's what I'm going to do. So I went around town and there was a lot of street signs that were funny. There was one that had slow children at play. And it had a kid with no feet. And I said, well, no wonder they're slow. They have no feet. There was one, no train horn between certain hours. And I said, that's when the hours that the train horn isn't there is when we need it. We can see the night. So it was really clever. It was like a, what do you call it? Like just a show and tell kind of thing. And I would do the signs. It was all signs. And I ended on the best one was Butts Road. That was the name of the street that went right through Boca Raton. I said, this is Butts Road where all the assholes live. And it just killed. And she said, this is great. I love the idea of you with the signs. But then I ran out of signs. So there's a whole bunch of them. Reduce speed ahead. I said, there's cheap drugs ahead. All these dumb things. And I was known for this like sign bit and it killed. And she said, you need, grow off that. What would be the next thing? And I'm just sitting there and I thought, how about a hat for old people when they drive so their head goes above the seat? So I made this just like this, a hat. I got a mannequin head and I tied it on with a wig, a gray wig. And I'd say, you wear this for old people so they could see their head when they drive. And all of a sudden it was kind of like, props, kind of came into, she was like, this is fascinating. This is great. And no one's doing props. Oh my God. And how many do you have? I'm like, Well, right, as of now, that and the signs, but I'll keep thinking. So I just literally exhausted everything in my brain. I was like, a cowboy boot with a kickstand so drunks don't fall down, an ice tray with a level so you wouldn't spill the water, putting it back in the freezer, a hanger it was tons of hangers. It was a hanger for a bachelor, didn't have a hook, just went on the ground. And she was like, this is brilliant. This is great. And it was all original. She's like, this is the best part. Because back then when I started, it was all about doing original stuff. It wasn't about doing someone else's act.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of proud of the fact that I was doing original stuff, and any comic that would give me grief, which they all still to this day give me grief, I would always say, at least I'm doing my own thing. I don't know why you would think just the opposite, that they all get behind you, right? In a sense, like he's doing something different.
Totally.
But I think more hate came because I was doing something original and clever, and people loved it, but other comics hated it. And then
but why? It doesn't make sense, because it's though. Is it jealousy?
Yeah, sure. It's all that. It's like, but it really, when it comes down to it, like I might have spoken about this on a few other shows, but I think that when it finally came down, because, I'm like anybody else. I mean, we're humans and we want everyone to love us. We want everyone to love your brand and your comedy. And comedy is very selective, just like music and then politics. Everything is so right. People love Carrot Top, people hate Carrot Top, and I get that. I know people that hate the Rolling Stones. It's unbelievable. Like they're horrible. They're hacks. I'm like, are you out of your mind? But anyway, I think the one day that just dawned on me was when like George Carlin, who was a mentor and a magnificent mind. I was at in an airport, and he walked up to me, or I walked up to him. I don't want to bother you. He should not bother me. I said, I'm a comic, and I just wanted to say you're great. And he goes, Carrot Top. And it was like two things that happened. One, he knew who I was, which was like, what? And then he said, your stuff's funny. And I said, oh my God, you're kidding me. He says, no, that paper cups and string thing is brilliant, dude. How did you come up with that? I'll never forget that. And I said, how did I come up with that? How did you come up with like stuff, that whole bit about stuff? He's like, it's just crap. But that cup thing is really, I said, dude, it's parallel to how we think. Where he's a comic, I'm a comic. He thought this way and I thought this way, but I loved his observational stuff, and that's what he loved about mine. And he said it was very clever. He's not a dummy. So the joke was, it was a paper cups and string telephone. And it was during the early part of my career. I said, they have the cups and string phone, and everybody's had that when you're a kid. Hey, what's going on? I said, we should have an updated version that has call waiting, the cup that comes out. And he just was like, that's fucking great. And so then I had 3 cups that come out. It was conference calling. And then I had a clear cup for caller ID. I said, I know what you pick up. I'm looking at it. And so it just grew as a bit. And then when he told me that, it kind of legitimatized me as a comic.
Yeah.
And he gave me confidence that I'm actually doing something good and not worrying about all the other comics that were hating and bashing on me. I'm like, George Carlin likes me, so you kind of forget about the guy in the basement, texting crap about me. Right.
Yeah.
And then you get, Gary Shandling saying to me, you're great. George Carlin, you're great. Jay Leno, Bill Maher, all these people that I admire are fans of mine,
Like real legends, because
Richard Pryor said to me, damn, you're fine. And I said, that's that was the part that it took a while to get to that, but once I had that in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, I'm doing something good, and it's something, and the show's grown exponentially. I mean, literally, it was just props for the longest time, because I was nervous and scared to do anything else. I was afraid just to tell a story.
So how long were you just doing props for?
Well, for a good while, and then when I would do it, it's just even like with the Tonight Show and Regis and Kathy Lee and all the shows that
I remember I used to do all those shows.
I still do them. I mean, it's no more Regis, but I still do.
What's her name? Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly. But when I would do like the Jay Leno shows and all those, Arsenio, every show, they wanted the props. They didn't want me to come up and tell a story. They wanted Carrot Top with the trunk of stuff, which I get. And then when people see the live show, they're like, oh my God, I thought it was going to be like an hour and a half of what I see on Jay Leno. Yeah. I'm like, I would die doing that for an hour and a half. You just can't go manic for an hour and a half with prop. You'd die. But when I opened for, people back in the day, like opening act for a big, I would do 10, 15 minutes of that. It would work fine. But doing an hour and a half of that.
Yeah.
So once I started getting, theater shows and live shows and that, it had to evolve into more of a show and not just that one aspect. So, I started using my video wall with jokes and I started telling stories. You'll see tonight, there's I might go 45 minutes without holding one prop. It's just storytelling, which I never did. And it happened, two things happened. One was COVID. And prior to that was I broke my leg snowboarding because I look like Shaun White. So I thought I was good.
You do look like Shaun White.
I thought I was good.
Yeah. No, but by the way, you look a lot like Shaun White.
Yeah, and which is good because he's not my age. So
yeah, I was good.
Good. And we're good friends. And we're good friends. I know Shaun friend. So he'll say that. He's like, people say Shaun. I said I get Shaun when he gets carrots up. So,
what's interesting though? Like in all of these years, there's never been anybody who has been able to replicate what you do.
I don't think anyone wants to be another Carrot Top.
But it's
not an easy. You'll see that it's not.
But that just says so much about like how talented you are.
Well,
like nobody can do it.
Well, I don't know if I don't know that is true about not that part, the first part, not the talented part, the part about another Carrot Top kind of ish show. There hasn't been, and people like my agents have been with me for 30 years.
Where's your agents?
CAA.
Oh, CAA. Okay.
But anyone, they'll say like, there's no. Or I go to comedy clubs, they're like, there's no, look on TV, there's no like a new Carrot Top. There's not a guy doing what. So I don't know if they maybe I just burn them all out. No one wants to do it.
No, but
or no one knows how to do it. Or like, it's kind of it's a different kind of format. Most people know stand-up comedy, and especially now because it's like with the roast. I did plenty of roasts. I would just do my stand. I would do that, and maybe I'd have a prop or two, like Flavor Flav's clock. I made one for him that was like an old-fashioned clock.
I saw that.
So I mean, I would always do my thing and then a prop. But like when people mostly know when they stand up, that's why people are like, what is a prop comic? I'm like, I'm not. I am a prop comic, but if you saw the show tonight, you'd say, oh, it's props, but it's not a prop comic.
Right.
There's props in it, but there's storytelling.
But I think what's interesting is I even said prop comic because to be able to think that quick on your feet for so many years and be topical and current, like you were just saying, it's not like you're pulling out and doing the same joke from like 1984. You have to be on point and stay current with whatever you're doing. And to think and be observational like that is very, very hard. And like, even if you're only doing a portion of that for the show now, you were going on all these shows. And when did you say that as of late, you said you've incorporated all these other storytellings and stuff, but I'm sure for the first, how many years were you just doing props because it was hitting so well?
Probably for the first, 8 or 9 or 10. And then
that's a lot.
Well, yeah, because then that was, like I said, I was known for that. But when I started doing like colleges and that, having an hour show, it had to be evolving to more of a show. It had to become not necessarily a Vegas thing, but we still do the road. We take the show on the road. We go to Kansas City. We go to Ohio. We go to, San Diego. So it's not a Vegas show. That's what I always be like, bringing a Vegas show? No, it's not a Vegas. It's just a show we're going to bring to you. It's not Vegas. So.
Because you're here 6 nights a week?
Yeah, we're here 6 nights a week. So our show is definitely more, probably people now know a bit that are, like these Vegas, but they don't know that I,
go do other shows.
It's like, the Vegas guy, it's Vegas show. It's like, well,
did you, by the way, when you were younger, like before college?
I was never younger.
Yeah, I know you were always.
I don't feel like I was younger.
Did you when you were like before college?
Yeah.
Did you even know that you were funny? Were you considered the funny kid? Did you do funny things?
Yes, but I wasn't. I was not like the class clown out there trying to get the laughs. I was kind of the quiet one that had the punchline ready. Everybody would laugh.
Were you a good student? Could you have to be?
I was okay. Yeah. I mean, I was okay. My brother was a student, went to the Air Force Academy, swimming scholarship. And I got B's and C's, and I was in the band, and, but I never got into arts and like show, I never went into acting or anything. I just went, I wanted to be a comic. As a kid, like I tell a story in the show, I was 8 and I would do like an impression of like Casey Kasem or something. And my mom was like, "You're so funny." And she would I would entertain her and her friends. Like I always had something in me, and as my neighbors say, he's so unusual and different. And I was, skinny redhead kid. Where I grew up were blonde surfers, and I'm like this redheaded kid
Yeah.
on the beach. I hated it. I wanted to be a blonde surfer. So that's where the comedy kind of started, because I'm, like Jim Gaffigan always says the same thing, being a guy like me, it's true. Like you're redheaded people in general, people just stare at you in general. You're different. And then that was my defense when they would pick on me. That was my comedy.
Yeah.
So they would go,
Self-deprecating.
they would pick on me. And then I would say, I would make a joke about it, or I would have observational things as a kid. I think one thing I told Gallagher, who I was probably 13 years old, and somehow I went to go see him. I wanted to learn comedy, and I was standing there with him. There was a big door, and it said, "This door must remain closed at all times." I'll never forget this. And I said, "Why is there even a door?" And he just looked at me and he said, "That's funny." And he put it in his show. And then he says, Scott wrote that. And I did. I just didn't write it. I just said it was an observation. Why is there a door if it says this door must always be closed? Then don't have a door there. And he thought that was genius. It's like a Carlin kind of thing.
It is. It's really, exactly.
So I kept writing a lot of those, like, can you run with a Walkman? Why does the host for 2020 wear glasses? I had all these, like, these clever little one-liners, and I started putting them into the show. So I wasn't doing a prop. I was doing kind of a stand-up, and it slowly started doing stories. And then it really started changing. I broke my leg snowboarding, and I had to.
What year did you break your leg?
A knee scoot. Well, a couple of times.
No.
But the first time I just didn't do it. Now who I am, I couldn't just, like, I'm going to take 6 months off and heal.
Yeah.
So I broke it, and I was on stage the very next night, and it wasn't, how are we going to do this? I said, we'll get a knee, with his knee carts.
I remember you did that.
So I did it for like 6 months. I did the whole show just on a knee scooter with nothing. I couldn't reach back to get my props. So I did an hour, almost like a monologue thing on one knee. And it was so incredible that for me and everybody watching it grow into this thing that had never happened. And then COVID hit. And then we had a double, that, and then COVID, and they put me in this room. We were the first show back because I was the only guy on stage. There's a whole bunch of rules they had with this. So none of the dancing shows, to just stand up. They asked everybody, and I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm not doing it." And they said, "You want to come back?" And I said, "No." And then finally they're like, "You'll be the first one to come back." And I said, "Well, do I have to wear a mask?" And they said, "Yeah." And I'm not going to do comedy with a mask on. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So they finally came back and said, "You can do it without a mask, but the audience has to be not only distanced and spread out from." It was a 3,000 seat theater at the Luxor. And
Is it 3,000 people?
No, at the others two here. There's one that no one uses now. It used to be like a big room.
Okay. How many people are in this room?
Like 350, 400.
Okay.
Which is perfect for Vegas, especially with visuals and all. That showroom was great, but it was too big even for my act. So, but they had them all spread out, so they had like 200 feet of tarp before the first audience member.
Gosh.
Swear to God. And then 2 people, 4 people, 2 people. I swear, and we'd have, I think max, you're allowed to have 100 people. So I came back from Florida, a year off, and we went into the room, and I'm like, "Wait, what are we doing?" And they're like, "See the X's? That's where people are going to be sitting." And I'm like, "Yeah, I ain't doing it." And they're like, "No, it'll be great." I'm like, "It's not going to be. I mean, how are you going to do comedy, especially visual comedy, with people spread out so far?" And the first audience member was, like I said, it was literally 500 feet from me, and we did it. And that was between that and my leg, it was just changed the whole dynamic of how I did my show. I just started telling more stories, because I pull out props in the beginning. It's like the very first part of the show is kind of a rapid pace, just props. It's like the old Carrot Top. And then it slows down and gets into a little bit of a rhythm. But you couldn't hear anything. And so then I stopped and just started telling stories. It was better. You still couldn't hear them. And then they allowed us to have 200 people. And then finally we went back into this room, and it was back to, normal kind of setting. But there's a lot of things that kind of happen and change the dynamic of how I performed and how it just changed and evolved.
Are you friends with other comics that are just
Definitely
today?
not. I don't know any comics.
You don't know any? Yeah.
No, when I lived in LA, of course, I'd always go to the comedy clubs and sit in the back. And I pretty much know most comics. Newer comics, I don't know that well. I feel bad about that too. People ask me, hey, who's your favorite new up and coming comic? I'm like, Jim Gaffigan? No, new. I'm like, I don't know.
I do like Jim Gaffigan.
Seinfeld, Gaffigan. I don't know, like the new, like when I had the roast for whatever. I didn't know anybody on that.
You didn't know anybody.
Not one person. I mean, I knew Tom Brady. I knew Kevin Hart, but all the comics, I no.
Like Nikki
Jeffrey
Glazer.
Ross. I know Jeffrey.
You
Ross.
know Jeffrey Ross. You also probably know Nikki Glazer, don't you?
No,
or no?
I don't know Nikki Glazer.
You've never heard of her?
No, I've never.
Oh, you never met her.
Never
Oh,
met her.
okay. You never met her. But like, okay, so how do you
But
not?
comics, we're all friendly to when everyone knows, we know each other.
Well, how about like in the Vegas community? I mean, do you see the same, like the David Copperfields, the Chris
Yeah,
Angel?
David,
Like, do you
yeah.
guys hang out together because you all like are residents for so long?
We have hang out. We don't like go get sushi with David Copperfield. But,
Why not? You guys are. Like,
I have
well,
gone to dinner with him, and I have gone to dinner with Chris Angel. We have.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we don't. It's not a normal basis thing.
You don't hang out
at the Rat Pack thing. No, we don't hang out.
Like the
But
Rat Pack.
I just went to see him.
Which one?
Chris.
Okay.
Because he would give me so much grief that I hadn't seen his show in a while. I said, dude, I work 6 nights a week, and the night that I get off, I'm not going to go to your show. Sorry.
Right.
I don't even want to go to my show. So,
But
he
you
finally
went?
talked into me going, and I went, and it was phenomenal, and it really was a great show. And there's a trick I put in the show tonight we're doing well, and it's all based on that's how the creative happens. I went and saw him, and I said to myself, I need a magic bit. And then we just created it, or I did say we. I just kind of thought of the idea. Guys, I already have all the bells and whistles with the smoke and the thing and the boom to boom. So I said, let's just come up with some kind of bit. And that's what I do. And then I give them the thing, like, I owe that to Chris. If you want to see it done properly, go see Chris Angel. And
Oh, so you guys collaborate kind of.
No.
Yeah.
I say if you want it.
I know.
No,
I'm
he
just
didn't help
saying.
me with it, but I think he would like
No, I
it.
say collaborate, like you help promote each other kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I hope he. Yeah. I
should-
love all the I've been here so long. All the shows here are great. They wouldn't be here because if they weren't good.
Well, people obviously like come back for 18, 30, whatever, 30
Right,
years.
right.
You obviously have an audience. But how do you, like, does your mind ever shut off? I mean,
No.
because do you have to think of things all the time? Like, do you sleep? Are you like, how are you able to?
I'm a pill popper, but I can't. I don't shut it off all day. But I don't sit around juggling salt and pepper shakers at the restaurant either. Like, I'm a very quiet guy, and so,
You are in real life?
yeah, like very shy and quiet. I'm usually by myself when I go out. So people that live around here know me. In fact, they always say, "You want to sit with us? You always feel lonely." I'm like, "No, I love sitting by myself."
Right. Are you a
Because that's what I'm
loner?
kind of thinking. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Yeah, I'm totally a loner.
Do you have the
I don't like being around a lot of people. And it's weird because I do it for a living. But if I had to go to a party and sit around with 100 people and talking to them, I would lose my mind.
Right.
So I don't go to social functions much.
That happens a lot though with entertainers though, because you're so
I'm
used
not
to having people
I'm not a
around.
neurotic about it. I just don't really I don't want to share small talk about it. And the last thing I want to hear when I go to like a thing, especially if it's here in Vegas. So 6 nights a week. Yeah. Let's not talk about our shows.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. So.
But do you have a family? What's your personal life like?
I rent a family. It's a lot easier. Like
It
a
is much
car,
easier.
literally. You get done with them. You just turn them in. No, I have a family. Yes. My mom I had lunch with her today, actually, my mother.
Your mother, okay.
She lives in Vegas. She's a stripper. She's doing great for her age, actually. Mom had lunch with her today.
Your mom lives in Vegas?
Yeah.
She does.
She's lived here longer than I have. She moved here we all lived in Florida, and then my mom got married to a new guy and went west, and she just ended up out here. And we even said, "Where are you, Mom?" She's Vegas, way before I was doing Vegas. So
Really?
my mom, yeah. And then I got a show at Bally's.
Was that the first show you got?
1994, yeah.
Wait, so can you tell me something before? Do you have kids?
No.
Are you married?
No.
Do you have a boyfriend, girlfriend?
No, nothing.
Neither. Okay. And so are you single?
Yeah.
Do you date?
No.
Are you on apps? Do you
no,
even go out?
Definitely not.
You don't go on dates?
No, I've not. No. I am happy just being single and no dates.
No dates?
No dates.
So you really don't like socialize?
No, I really don't like anything social. I go home and I watch Sports Center or watch a little bit of something to keep me up to date with the world, like for the show, like a news thing.
Right. So you can keep current.
a little politics just to say I'm on, so I know what's going on, so I don't do something on stage and they're like, he already picked his vice president, you idiot.
Yeah.
So I had to know what's going on. But you'll see there's a little politics in the show, but it's all lighthearted and fun.
It's like,
but I'm not like, I'll make sure we clear this. I'm not like this crazy neurotic guy that doesn't like social.
No. I totally understand.
I go to the gym by myself, and then I go to lunch usually by myself, and then I go here, and then I see all the people, and then I go home and I'm by myself.
Well, wait a second. I mean,
but
by the way,
like it. I'm not.
It doesn't seem weird. So, what is I was going to say.
A lot of people have to be surrounded by a lot of people. I have friends that like have to have a girlfriend, and every time, even if they fight and they hate each other, it always has a new girlfriend. I'm like, why don't you just try not having a girlfriend? It's just kind of
be alone.
Enjoy yourself for one night. I can't do it. I got to have somebody. How do you just sit home and not by yourself? I'm like, I don't know. Just like I would say to you, how do you sit home?
I know it's true though.
So
actually.
it is true. I don't know. I like alonerness is fine.
No, I think that. Listen, I think that you're probably around. You've been around people your whole life. Didn't you have a girlfriend like recently?
Yeah, she went to lunch today with us.
Oh, she did. Okay,
yeah, we're just still best friends.
You're so good friends.
Yeah.
Okay, but tell me what time you wake. Like, what is the day in the life? Then you were just kind of saying it.
Day in the life.
What time do you wake up?
Top.
What happened that you became such a fitness fanatic?
I've always worked out. That's what's so funny. All the way back to 13, 14 years old, I was in high school and I was on the wrestling team and swim team, and I always worked out. That's why when people would talk about it, they're like, all of a sudden you just got, dude, go back when I'm 14. My yearbook picture, I always had muscles. I always worked out.
Because you looked like to most people, like you went from being like a regular size person.
I was. I mean, there's pictures of me in the show. You'll see I'm the same exact. I weigh exactly when I was like 165, and when I graduated high school, I was 155. So I'm like 10. I'm literally my same exact.
Well, you look
skeletal.
jacked to me.
I think I'm lean, and so the leanness comes out, makes you look more jacked.
But you're also like wide.
Yeah, a little bit.
You're super like. I don't know if you see what I see, but you look really fit.
I try to.
Are you?
It's all makeup and lighting, and he set it all up.
It is true, but like I don't remember you being this jacked.
Well, probably just
10 years ago.
Yeah, easily.
Well, how long? When did you start this new
high school?
Fitness? No. But then would you say that you weren't this jacked for a while?
No, yeah, all the way to comedy clubs. I'd bring my own weights in my truck.
You think you always look like this?
Yeah. You can look back on my internet and say, I'm like, yeah.
Really?
That's why people always shocked. Like, when did you get muscles? I'm like, I've had them my whole life.
Were you not showing them?
Maybe I wasn't showing them. I mean, on stage, I don't show them. I wear baggy clothes. So maybe that's what it is.
Well, I'm
into definitely more baggy, and I came literally from the gym here.
What do you work? What do you do?
When I walked in, I said, should I put on some,
you did
put on some clothes?
Yeah.
No, just say how you are. I'm like, okay.
But also you're like also 59 and you look like you are like 30. So so I want to know, what are your tricks and secrets of looking this fit?
I don't know, because I don't do any kind of diets. I don't do anything.
Do you eat a lot?
No, I don't. That's my problem. I don't eat a lot. I mean, I'm surprised I have a build that I do, because I don't eat anything. I eat like my father. I just don't. Whenever I go to lunch, I have nothing.
What do you mean? What'd you have today?
Well, I had
your mom?
in fact, my mom even said, eat more of your sandwich. And I said, Mom, this is how much I always eat. So I eat like a half a sandwich, today.
That's it? Did you have do you eat?
No, I don't eat breakfast. I get up and I go for a run, and then I go back and I kind of.
Can you run in this heat?
You got to get up early, and then I blew all my. I'm like this normal guy. I blow all my leaves and water my. I planted all these flowers yesterday. I went to the nursery, plant flowers.
Wow.
Put on music, and I get everything all pretty for the day, and then I go to lunch, because I don't go to dinner, so I go to lunch. And then I go to the gym, and then I come here and do a sound check and do a show and go home. And I have my social time here, like with the crew after the show. That's
And you don't eat. So you eat a little bit for lunch, and you don't eat.
Yeah,
again?
I'll snack when I get home a little bit, but nothing like monstrous.
Really?
No, and I don't drink a lot, but I drink. I mean, I have a glass of wine every day at lunch, but that's it. I mean, it's not that I would drink. I don't enjoy, like, I haven't been drunk ever since I was born. Now I sound like Trump. Never had a drink, but never had a drink. The best way not to get drunk is just don't ever drink. But I literally, my friends, my girlfriend and my mom will tell you.
For the friends.
She's never seen me drunk. And it's just not, it's not in me. I don't even know how,
like
I don't even know how to get drunk. I don't do shots. I don't pound shots.
Yeah.
And when I go out for dinner, I have a glass of wine and that's it. I don't go drink. I don't go to a bar and drink.
Right, you're not interested. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not a
but
drinker
I like when I get done with the show, I love a Crown on the Rocks and sip on that when I go home. And then I drink a little red wine and go to bed. But yeah.
But how do you have the energy to work out like you do? Like, how long is each workout?
You just find it. You know, it's like this show. You got to, because people always, that's the most fast, people are always fascinated by that. Even today, they're like, you got to go to work tonight? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my God. I'm like having dinner. I'm going to go to bed and I'll be in bed by 8. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just getting ready to start my day. So it's just, you just do what you're used to doing. It's kind of becomes, same with going to the gym. It's just in my blood. I go to lunch and then I said, like, oh, Mom, you're going to go to the gym? I was, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. And I go.
Do you do body
I do
parts?
A lot of honey. I eat like I do a shot of espresso right before and like some honey.
Yeah.
That's what I did when I was 14 years old as a swimmer. The honey was like instant, energy. It's not great for you, but
it's way better than other things.
Yeah, so
doing.
And people are amazed when I'm at the gym. You eat like a thing, like a honey bear? I'm like, yeah. Like, that's horrible for you. I'm like, well, okay. You burn it off in the workout. So my workouts only definitely under an hour. I'm there 40 minutes and I just do one thing,
You do one body part at a time?
I do like today was back and buys because you're doing back and so I throw back and buys. Now I'm talking to Joe Rogan, do back and buys and I let me do chest J. And then I run every day, so I don't really do a lot of legs because I have great legs. So I don't have to.
I was going to say, how are you so lucky? Because I run.
I make a joke. I said I have great. If I didn't shave them, they'd be even bigger. Man,
those legs are. I mean, you run every day.
Pretty much.
How many miles a day?
It varies. Sometimes with the heat now, a little less, but up to 5 usually. 5 miles, 4 miles, 3 miles.
3-4 miles a day, every day.
Usually.
And then you go to the gym every day or 5 times a week.
Yeah, I take a day. I didn't go yesterday because You gotta take a day to sometimes.
And so do you do like the sauna?
But I don't do a lot of, like I said, my workout's not like 3. I have guys in that workout in my gym like 3 hours a day. I'm like, dude, you're killing yourself. And you're not going anywhere. You're not getting any gains.
Yeah, you're not getting gains.
No, you're not going to do that by overworking yourself out 3 hours.
No, it's actually going to do the opposite.
Right. 30 minutes, you hit it hard and you're out. You're going to grow and take a day off and then go back. And when I go home to Florida, usually a week off, I don't do anything. I just kind of I run still in the morning, but I don't go to the gym. So
do people ask you all the time about your jackness?
No.
I mean,
no, they always say you're in good shape. Yeah.
No, but I remember years ago, that was like a big thing in the press, like how you looked so jacked.
I think there's one photo they used that they just completely AI'd it or something. And that was funny. I think I even put it in the show at the time. I'm like, okay, first of all, let's break this photo down. That's not me. I mean, it's not, they had this literally like in a movie, like,
I don't know.
You see them where they do that on, I'm fine. It's on the thing.
Yeah.
But when you see it, you're like, no, it wasn't me. It was just funny. And that's what I thought. It was funny because it's like, it was so clearly obvious that they put my head on something. And then people see me in person like, oh, you're not as big as I thought you were. I think you're like this big, huge. I'm like, no.
No, you just look really fit.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So but
people always think I'm smaller than I am when they meet me. They're like, oh, you're smaller than I thought you were. I thought you were like really big, muscular and like 6'3". I'm like, no.
I
weigh like 155 pounds.
Well, how tall are you?
6'5". No.
6'5" minus what, like 7 inches?
No, I'm like 5'10".
5'10"?
Maybe with a hat on.
What do you do in terms of other?
I used to do that, by the way. Here's a joke. Not a joke when I knew it was funny.
Okay.
My mom would take me to the doctor's office, and this is young, 8, 9, and she would bring me in, and the nurse would come in and say, "Okay, it's Scott," and I said, "Scott, how much do you weigh?" I'd say like 150, and she'd get 150. And how tall are you? And I said 6'4", and she'd say, right, 6'4". And what did you finally get? Wait a minute, you're not. And I do that I still do that when I go to the doctor.
Are you serious?
Every time. I had something I had to go. No, every time I've ever been to the hospital, anywhere they ask you questions, I always do the same shit, and they always just write it down because they're just doing their.
Yeah, they're not paying attention.
I had to go for my colonoscopy, because I'm old and I had to check. And I'm still doing the same material that I did when I was 8,
and it still works.
It still works. How many drinks do you have per day? I'm like, 23, and they're like 20. Do you really? I'm like, no, I don't. 2 or 3. I meant 2 to 3, not 23. But who to call in an emergency? I said a fucking a doctor.
Yeah, that's
I fill out
exactly
the
true.
whole thing. Nearest relative, I'd say 8 miles. I just dumb stuff. But that's always just stupid stuff. I always do.
Do you what else do you do health for healthy wellness longevity modalities? Are you doing the sauna, the cold plunge?
None of that.
Are you taking supplements?
No.
Are you taking any
no
kind
vitamins, no supplements.
You don't take supplements even?
No, nothing.
Nothing.
No, literally nothing.
Not even a multivitamin?
Nope. I should.
Hormones?
No.
HGH?
Nope. Never done anything.
Nothing.
Cialis. I do take a Cialis. No, I'm not kidding. I do.
No, I'm not.
But it's
not
a
kidding.
daily one, so it's not dangerous. It's good for you. Actually, my doctor said it's good for you.
It's good. Is it like
and
a
you don't
blood
get
pressure medicine?
It is. It's kind of like blood pressure medicine.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I actually take it, and then my friend, you take a Cialis every day. I'm like, it's really like blood pressure pill, but it's more fun to take a Cialis.
Yeah. Do you really take a Cialis every day?
Yeah, it's 5 milligrams, so it doesn't do anything. It's not like.
What is it supposed to do? I was just joking about the blood
Cialis
pressure.
is supposed to give you an erection.
No, I know what.
But it
I know what
give
it.
you one. That's the
I know what
fallacy
it's
behind
supposed to
these.
do.
Well, the fallacy behind those pills, because that was jokes every comic would do. Like, you don't just take one and you're like, oh,
you're not?
No. You have to be aroused, first of all. So all it does is enhance your arousement. So if you were on Cialis and you got aroused, it would enhance your erection. You don't just take one and you're like, oh, shit, I got a boner. No.
Oh, so you have to be aroused first.
Yeah, it doesn't directly. That's why those stupid commercials. If you have an erection that lasts longer than 8 hours, just say thank you, God. That's what you say.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Lasts longer than 30 seconds.
Well,
8 hours. God damn. Don't call for help. Just enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Why would you take one every day though?
Just for blood pressure. It's just
it is
for
really
like,
for the
it
blood
really
pressure?
is for like a blood pressure.
I was just joking about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting that. So can I
prostate.
Oh, for the prostate. Okay, I have some questions for you with regards to like finances and business.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer me, but
Sure.
I want to know, okay? Because the longevity of your career, having a residential show this long, like you must be loaded for the fact you have to be.
That's the biggest fallacy in this whole thing. There's a website. It makes me laugh. We did it one night with my crew in here. Whatever it's called, Celebrity Wealth or something.
Yeah. Celebrity net worth.
Celebrity net worth.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you can punch in Carrot Top, Celebrity net worth, and it comes up something silly like 75 million or something. So,
that's like less than I would even think.
Well, but it says on there,
okay,
75 million, right? So then when COVID happened, we were all making a joke, and my road manager said, "Oh, dude, you went down." And I'm like, "Down what? You're now at 74 million." I'm like, "Oh man, they counted, and I lost $1 million because I was off a year."
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, it's not the right number, but I find it funny because yes, I'm at 75 million. I guess I should be happy. But then I have friends, they have, 300 million, and I'm friends with them. They're not worth 300 million.
Yeah, they're not. No, that's what I'm saying. Those things are like a bunch of silly.
I don't even know how they come up with it.
I don't know. I think they just make it up.
Right, they do because they don't calculate.
It's not accurate.
He's been doing comedy 40 years. He must be paid. And I don't know how they would even do it. You count in like when I'm on vacations too, and I get paid.
Well, no, because they say like some of these crazy residencies that you hear about, like J-Lo, all these people get crazy money for it.
Yeah, a lot of those are BS too. When they say they get a $100 million contract,
yeah,
that's not true.
It's not true.
No, all these contracts nowadays that are out here at these hotels are 4 walls, which is what I have. Unless you get like
what do you mean?
4 wall means you own 4 walls and you pay rent. So basically, I own this show, and Luxor doesn't own this show. It's my show that I use the property, but the Luxor has nothing to do with my show, except they let me do the show and me promote it here. But they don't own a bit of my show. Now, someone like Katy Perry or one of these people that come in, they do this like residency. Adele, they probably do a 2 wall. Probably they split it probably, or like with Elton John, it's a completely different deal. And the residencies in general are 4 or 2 walls. Someone like an Elton John probably is not. It's just they pay him. Whatever they sell. So there's probably some of those that they might have given $50 million for 4, 5, 6 shows or whatever it is. But
so wait, hold on a second. So you're telling me you own? So you basically rent space?
Yeah, in a nutshell.
At the Luxor.
Yeah, basically.
And
they continue to want me to be here, so they let me extend my extension.
They extend the extension.
So if they ever had one day they didn't like what I did or wanted me to go, they
kick
could
you
just,
out.
yeah, in a sense. If it was a moral conscience, something. They can't just be done with me unless it was something that they felt like they needed. It was some distance.
So your show then, all the money you make every night, that's your money, and then you have to pay everybody. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's a carrot top business so there's no like, it's not a partnership really with Luxor, except the fact that they just house you here. You pay rent like I would somewhere else. I didn't know that. So is that the same deal with Chris Angel and David Copperfield?
I don't really know their deals. I have no idea.
But if people are staying here for like years on end, like Chris Angel must have been for like the same amount of time.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know his deal. He might have a different deal, but our deal has always been that we work really for ourselves. And yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. So then
I'm banking off my name, to sell the tickets. So
yeah.
So
you have to
if
be
you
out,
do a 2 wall,
yeah.
right? You're taking a risk if you don't sell tickets. So, and hotels aren't going to do 2 walls unless they have a good name, because they're not going to take a risk. They'll give everybody a 4 wall because they can come in and eat shit and be gone.
Right. Well, because you pay rent. How much are you paying rent though for this type of thing?
Well, I don't know. That all varies.
Like, what is, if I wanted to rent 4 walls here, would they give it to me? No.
Yeah, they're slanted walls though, so it's different.
But like, you basically would pay like a big chunk of rent. Monthly?
Yeah, rent we paid for.
You pay monthly, like I would at an apartment.
Rent we paid for the ushers. We pay for the local union crew.
You pay everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my crew.
So then you have to like make a lot of money.
My 7 houses. No. Okay.
Do you have you live here?
I live here in Orlando.
So like you have to be like working all the time to pay for this.
That's why I work every night.
Yeah, that actually now makes more sense to me than why you would do six nights.
Right. I got bills to pay, man.
It actually makes sense. So the 2 wall deal that you just said, like I
don't know. I don't even know who has them anymore, but that there's such a thing. I don't know who has one.
Yeah. Well, I guess right now the Stratosphere is like a huge deal here in Vegas, and they bring in U2 and they bring in.
Oh, the Strata? You mean the Sphere?
Yeah, I call it the Stratosphere. The
Stratosphere is definitely different than the Sphere.
The Sphere, but that's more of like that's more of like a concert venue. That's a bad example, but like
that's a for
or
sure.
Usher.
Whoever plays the Sphere. I mean, I don't even know how that works.
That's different. But
I have no idea.
If Usher comes in and does a deal with whoever, I think it was who was it? I don't remember.
I don't either.
I thought they don't pay, like it's more of a ticket split. Is that really how it works?
I really don't know. I just know my deal. I have never asked about other people's deals. I just know we do a 4 wall, and then we've been doing it for ever since day one. So
how much long?
30 years.
How long do you want to be doing this?
Oh, just another week or so. And then it's, if I can get through the weekend.
That would be great.
Happy.
Now, how long do you actually have? What's your contract till?
We have till 2025. So we've got about 6 more years left on our.
Well, no, 25.
25. I mean, 30.
Oh, you should have another 5 years left.
We have 6 years left, yeah. Because we have 1 year left on our previous before COVID thing that we didn't get to do. So we have 5-year extension plus 1, so we have like 6 years.
Do you want to be doing it that long?
Yeah, like, I mean, what am I going to do?
You don't get tired of it?
No. What else would I'm definitely not one of those guys that what am I going to retire?
Yeah, well,
I mean, I look like a teenager anyhow. Why would I want? I'm not going to retire.
You do.
No, but I mean, what am I going to do?
Right. So you
I
love to
this.
work.
There's nothing else. There's more fun. I mean, and I get to do it and I feel good and people still come out and I get to laugh and nothing more fun than this job. I can't even imagine. I remember they asked Willie Nelson this not long ago. They said, when are you going to retire? And he said, from what? I thought it was a great answer.
That's a great answer. 'Cause this is who you are and what you do.
Yeah. I don't know anything else. Yeah.
Like, did you ever think in a million years you'd have this type of longevity?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even when I was at the MGM Grand, after 5-6 years there, I didn't think that I would have. I didn't know. You never know your destiny, your future. I didn't know we'd be here. I mean, I was at the MGM for 10 years, and then David Copperfield came in, and they wanted to take the room, and
the 4-wall room.
I don't. Mine was there.
Yeah, I was saying your room was.
Mine was for there, but
you had a 4-wall there. Yeah.
Yeah. We've always have, unless we do road shows. I think it's a guarantee kind of thing, but. He wanted the room, and I remember saying, well, David Copperfield, Carrot Top, so I guess, fuck, there I go. And I said, but I don't want to leave Vegas now. I'm just starting to have fun.
Yeah.
And they said, well, the MGM has a property across the street, the Luxor. You want to go look at the room? And we went over and looked at it, and completely different than the MGM Grand room. And it was just instant like, let's give it a shot. So it worked for a little bit. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then now it's been almost 19 years. So it's great.
And like, how do you keep your like you're still relevant so many years? How do you stay relevant? Because it's like different it's generational, and these people still know who you are, and you're doing a lot of TV.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of, a lot of things that
you do, like
Family Guy. There's a lot of things that continue to
put
pop
you in
up,
there. Yes.
Pop up in pop culture that keeps you relevant. So there's a lot of those. There's roasts that come on Comedy Central that keeps showing that I did years ago. The Family Guy, the TV shows.
You did
movies,
Hacks recently, I saw.
Hacks. So, that's a new one. So, yeah, you try to keep yourself relevant by doing, the good shows that are out there. You pitch yourself and see if they want to,
Do you pitch yourself?
Yeah, that one particularly, well, it kind of happened by, I was watching, I was a fan of the show.
Yeah, me too.
And my phone, it was just weird. My phone was going off, and they said, you ever see Hacks? They talked about you on it. So I'm like, well, I've watched it. I didn't see it. And it was the last episode. Don't ruin it. I haven't seen it yet. So then I watched it, and the daughter, is dating me in the show.
The blonde girl. Yeah,
she's in the kitchen all crying and upset, eating pancakes and cookies and just depressed. And Gene Smart walks in and goes, "Oh, for God's sakes, get over it. You can do better than Carrot Top." And I watched it and I was like, "That's great." So I called my people and I said, reach out to them and see if, since they like me and I'm supposedly dating her on the show, maybe we could go on.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely beyond thrilled. I remember they were like, "Oh my God, yes, we'll come up with something." And we got to the set, they sent me kind of a script, and we got there and we improvised most of it once we got there, but she's brilliant. And she's brilliant. Great lady. She's brilliant.
You improvised that?
A lot of it was because we kind of, when I got there, it was kind of like, you wouldn't do that. What would you do? I don't know. They had me doing something different. I said, I don't know. I would be. We just went off my energy of what I would do in a situation. So we just kind of, it was written and we had fun with it as well. But it was great, and they were stoked that I would do it, and I was stoked that I got to do it. It was a great, it's HBO. It's a great show.
It's a great show.
So yeah, keeping yourself relevant, it helps, And I've been doing years of different things. You'll see in the show tonight, I talk about when I did AT&T commercials in the 90s or 2000s or whenever it was. I don't even know now. And they were on every day. And they were like the Flow progressive commercial. They were just so annoying. But
the progressive ones?
No, you mean the ones that are on every day.
Totally remember. Yes,
Allstate or progressive.
Totally remember.
That was like me. I was doing collect call commercials, and they were on every day. Every day, all day, all night. So I could walk a foot down the street, like, dude, fucking the phone guy.
I totally remember. So it was,
those. But then I became the phone guy. Like, it was great. I would do theaters in Birmingham, Alabama, and the meet and greet. They're like, what are you doing? You gonna do? What's the show about? I said, stand up, and they said, oh, it's not like phones. And I'm like, phones, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. The whole show's about making collect calls. And they're like, really? You make that funny that way? Then I'm like, no, it's a comedy show. There's nothing about fucking. I do that for a paycheck. I don't feel like. So they come to the show and they go, "Oh my God, you're a comedian." I just thought he was a commercial actor.
Yeah,
they didn't know that I did comedy. So it was so powerful and strong, and they were out every day. Yeah, people just knew who I was. They knew Carrot Top, but they didn't know what I did.
It was you have such an iconic image, right? Because of the everything about by the way, having back to that one time when you're in college, when you created that brand, that was actually a smart thing to do. You didn't have to have a whole bit, because you actually created a name and a brand that actually had a lot of longevity to it. Would you say that that was your what would you say was your big break though? Was that your big break? Because I thought you were on Star Search.
Yeah, no, I had a it's interesting. I didn't have that normal person's big break, where they went. But I was on Star Search, but I lost on the Star, so it wasn't a big break.
But this exposure?
I was on a lot of shows at the same time is what I think what my break was. So it was back when this is a long time ago. When I started doing television, there was a lot of TV shows that had comedians on there, comedy shows. It was called, Comic Strip Live, all of them. There's 20 of them.
Yeah.
So I was doing all those. Then I'd Regis and Kathy Lee, Jay Leno, Arsenio, you name it, whatever show, talk show, The View, you name any show, I was on them. And so I had all the break. It wasn't like one big personal thing that just broke me. I was in a movie, chairman of the board. Nobody saw it. It wasn't a big break, but probably all combination of things really was the break. It just, I was saturated.
Yeah, the cumulative.
Yeah. And it was on every platform. I would have, okay. I would do, college, Notre Dame. And then the next morning I'd go to New York and do Regis and Kathy Lee, and then do like a college in New York, and then go to Atlantic City and do the weekend in the theater at like Trump Plaza or something. And then next week I would go to, so I had college kids watching me on the college campuses, and then the old people watching me on Regis, and then I would go on Leno, and that would get like the middle ground, and then I had a show on Cartoon Network where kids, I was called AM Mayhem with Carrot Top, so I had every age group, so it was weird, like people would always say, what's your demographic? And I'm like, we don't have a specific demographic, it's like all ages, like not young, but I don't like, the Cartoon Network was not what I wanted to come to my show. But the show here, it's all over the place. There'll be 14-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids, and probably 80-year-old people.
Do you repeat any jokes? Because people don't remember from like 10 years, 15 years, 18 years.
Do I repeat them?
Yeah, like do you have like the prop stuff? Like you could pull stuff out, people won't remember from.
No, I mean I do some stuff in the beginning that's kind of just gets going with like kind of
the current stuff.
Oh no, like more classic Carrot Top when I start.
No, but
then I go into a whole bunch of it. Just
but the topics that even when you pull stuff out, you still use them. They're topical. I feel like I've heard you do stuff where it's like, this is Donald Trump's face, orange, whatever. You always do like funny things.
Well, you can do. I can. Well, one example you'll see tonight was I had a dinosaur on a rope. It was Dick Cheney's dog. I think it was Dick Cheney. Whoever was old at the time, it was either Dick Cheney. I think it was Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
So
Dick Cheney,
it was either Dick Cheney or whatever. The guy running for president, senator from Arizona. It was either him or Dick, but I think it was Dick Cheney. And so I had Dick Cheney's dog, and the joke is he's old. It was a dinosaur. Yeah. So I'm in my warehouse not that long ago. Yeah, it's great. And it's visually funny. Yeah. So I'm in the warehouse, and I'm going through stuff, and I see it. I'm like, God, that was a great one. And it just hit me. Why don't I make that Joe Biden's dog?
Yeah.
So that's an example of one that I can take back and restructure to work now.
That's so good. That's hilarious.
So now it was one I did. So I'm getting mileage out of one that used to be. So they wouldn't know the Dick Cheney one, but they know now the Biden one. So there's an example.
That's a really good one. So like, how are you using today's time to kind of, are you using social, like I know you're on social media and Instagram, but are you using the platforms to really kind of promote to a younger generation? Because again, like this stuff is still.
I do that. I do TikTok and I do things like that.
That's a really funny one.
Yeah.
That's a great joke.
It is. It's easy too. It's instantly funny. It's one of those you don't have to think about it much. It's pretty funny.
But like the fact that you think about that, like how are you so alert all the time? Like you have to be thinking constantly.
That's the curse of being, I think, I forget, like comic, just an artist or general. I mean, it's not, I don't think there's a songwriter that never is sitting around not thinking of a song.
Of stuff, yeah.
Just like a comic is never not thinking about a new joke or something that, something happens in conversation like, oh, it's funny, I'm going to use that. So yeah, it's just what we do. It's what, like I said, songwriters probably do the same thing. They never just go out to dinner or go for a walk. They're thinking of a song, a new song to write down.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Have you ever seen, like we talked about this earlier, that there's nobody who's done it, like no one's doing it. Has there, like who?
Now that we say that, there'll be 3 Carrot Tops tomorrow.
I know there will be, but no one will be ever the real Carrot Top with the orange hair and the look, and everything works together beautifully. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like a caricature that works.
It's definitely a brand and a caricature of that kind of was in a sense somewhat manufactured in my head, but it wasn't like I have friends in the band like In Sync, and they've been friends of mine since they're all from Orlando, and all the boy bands that they manufacture those guys and put them in, and they made it that's why they all had the same, and they have the yellow shirt, blue shirt, red, green, the rainbow shirt. I had an idea for a brand. I always had long. I mean, I didn't do this for I was a surfer. I had long hair, so I had Carrot Top, and then the hair kind of went with the brand name. My logo, you'll see, is like a kind of a shadow of me with my hair, which is funny because a lot of comics said to me, "Well, what happened if you lose your hair, dude?" I said, "I know it's my logo."
I was going to ask you about that.
So no, I'm glad I have on my.
I was going to say, is that your real hair?
Yeah, this is all my hair. Yeah, it's just kind of like dreaded up right now at the time, but
that I was going to ask you that. I didn't want to be rude.
Oh no, this is all my hair.
Because what would happen if you lost your hair? Because that is your.
There'd be no top. Yeah. I don't know, but I got lucky.
You got
Please
really
welcome
lucky.
No Top. What happened to him?
It's so true.
Like Peter Frampton,
That's
you look at Peter
exactly.
Frampton, now you're like, what happened to Peter Frampton?
It's 100%.
But I've been
true.
but it was like I said. So the brand was, I did well think it out. I was a marketing major, so when I the very first time I was on stage, very first time, where I had my trunk, I had only 4 things in it. Right before I went to the club, I drew out on a cardboard, Carrot Top, like the name and my logo, and put it in the lid of the trunk. And I remember people thinking and I thought, well, it's marketing. I'm marketing myself because when I'm on stage, the whole time they're watching me, they're reading my name. So when they get done in the evening and they ask, who'd you see tonight? They're going to say, oh, some guy from Carrot Top. And we saw, there's no way to forget the brand. I mean, it was kind of forcing it down their throat in a sense.
See, this is what I wanted to talk to you about, because you have to be business savvy. Like, no matter how you're very obviously, you have the stamina of of a child. But besides that, you've always been super business savvy marketing wise. You branded yourself, and it's been it's been thorough for everything. Like, no one cannot know who you are. That's because everything works together. The look,
and
the way you branded yourself, what you're doing, where you go, how you put the logo.
It's a blessing and a curse, is what I tell people.
Is it? What's the?
Well, because you're stuck. It's Carrot Top. I could have been Queen Latifah, but I went with Carrot Top.
Yeah, that's true. But what are the downs? What's the downside of being Carrot
There's
Top?
no downs. I'm just being silly. Like, first time I went across campus, and I told the guy to bring me up as Carrot Top, and then people were yelling across the campus, Carrot Top. I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
I'm really going with this. This is going to be my Carrot Top is going to be the moniker. It could be a better one, I don't know. No, it worked out fine, but I'm saying it was meant to be, but it was, I already looked like this, so it wasn't like I have to stay like this. Like, if I wanted to change my look, I could. I could shave my head and still go on stage and say, look, No Top, what happened? But I like my hair, and I like looking like this, so I don't, try to keep it. I mean, to be honest with you, my people hate my hair right now because it's like dreadlocked and purple and green and red and orange. And they're like, dude, you're Carrot Top. It should be all orange. And I'm like, it's my brand, bitch. I'm going to do what I want to do. So I do all this because I like to do this. So it's still orange enough to get the joke across from Carrot Top.
It's definitely orange enough.
They're like, go back to just the orange hair.
Really? Who's saying this to you, though?
The beta carotene.
Yeah. I think they want you. I
got to go do a sound check so we can do this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I guess I'll have to just wrap. But I want to say, guys, Carrot Top is at the Luxor. Carrot Top
now.
Right now, actually, as we speak. And if they want to know more about you, can you tell them?
Yeah, carrottop.com. I got an Instagram as Carrot Top Live. Carrot Top on my Facebook, real Carrot Top.
And you travel too, you said.
And we do road shows as well.
When you touring
again? We just toured. We did a few. We're not doing some. I got to do sound check. But we can check our calendar. I think for the rest of this year, we're just doing Luxor dates.
Perfect. Okay. And it's just by the looks of it, it's a great show. I can't wait to see it now.
We'll see. It's going to be happening soon.
And that's it. And I'm going to go watch it now, guys. And you're the best. Seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate the fun. It was a fun chat.